Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the No Pyro podcast. Today we're doing things a little different, switch things up, and I'm excited. I'm here with my cohorts, Swervy Lee, aka Two Sub Swerve, aka Swervy Atmos, aka Yoko Tuna, aka MK1 is pre-ordered. What's good with it, man?
You know it. Had to hit the pre-order button. Well, I didn't hit the button. I actually went. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm old school, so I went to
Old
the brick
school
and
with
mortar.
it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want my physical disc early. You know, but we're gonna see about that when time comes. But yes, sir, in the building, ready to give this special edition of the No Power Podcast.
Yeah. Where we live, I wish I could old school a former GameStop employee. Now, when I say old school, I mean like the Undertaker old school. Like twist his arm, walk up a couple ropes, jump down, and hit him right in his forearm. Because I don't like him.
What you got against Purple Glove Taker?
No. I want to do that move to a GameStop, a former GameStop employee.
Oh, I think I might know who you're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't say his name, but you know.
Yeah. They have a high school.
I don't know who you're talking about. So.
They got a high school named after him.
There's a high school where we live on the west side that they're named after.
You got a problem with JFK?
No, Drew, I do not. Speaking of Drew, his name is No Chill Drew, aka EGB Refresher. Everybody gets buried, aka the Applebee's Don, aka. Oh my God, Is that a Steve Weiser, bro?
It's like a crispy.
Close. Good old-fashioned water.
Water?
Okay, pause. I had that at a concert, and I was so against drinking it because I'm like, if it's just water, what's with the packaging?
That's what sells it, though. Because, I mean, there's millions of different water. But you get water with, this whole thing going on. We're not selling the product.
I know. I'm like, can you tell me what that is without advertising?
My hand moves once they send a check. Okay.
Is that Mike's Hard Water?
It might be, but I may or may not have sold my soul for a case for free.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a promotion online.
Oh wow, nice.
Promo code No Pyro? No. Okay.
I'm sorry, this code is expired or doesn't work anymore.
20% off? No, we get it.
Oh my goodness. So yes, Swervy alluded to it. This is a special edition of the No Pyro podcast, the first of its kind. Myself. Now, wait a minute. I just saw something. Now, folks, when you go back and watch this, we will rewind it. If you listen to any one of the older episodes, there was a question of whose game was on. Now, Drew, you didn't just peep what I peeped. Drew always accused me of playing the game during the podcast.
And Drew would be right.
Did you just see what Swervy moved from his left shoulder?
No, I know it's always Swervy. I know it's
No, it's not always Swervy.
It's always
he's always bringing up like Titanfall or something. Like he's always bringing it up.
First of all, it was Warzone, but you never heard me. You always heard this guy right here.
Never.
Every time I just get
ever.
steps, just da.
Because the Xbox controls click all over the place. That's what you heard.
You have both, just like me.
Yeah, but I was never playing that when it was on here.
All right. Before we get to the episode, Drew, are you getting Mortal Kombat as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, like, when should I pre-order it? Because I haven't done it yet.
I don't know about pre-ordering. It depends. For me personally, I only pre-order if the pre-order bonus is something good. Like, the last thing I pre-ordered was Harry Potter because it came with, like, the dark art stuff. But, like, if you're not going to, like, give me anything bonus, I'll just buy it digital.
I pre-order when I know that the developer has consistently not let me down.
And they don't.
It's a game that I love.
Only reason why I ask is because I was late to pre-ordering WWE 2K23, which I played a total of 8 hours probably. And when I tried to do it like 2 days before the release date, they told me I couldn't. And
I'm like, nah, fam.
Yeah.
Nah, you don't get Bad Bunny, fam. Nah.
is there like some type of like? I know Mortal Kombat is gonna be a game where if I don't pre-order it, I'm probably gonna be asked out because I'm not gonna wait hours before they open to go pick it up. That's
it depends. I if it's like a physical thing that you're getting, they might have to cut you off because they run out. But if it's something where it's just like a code in it, or like like oh hey you get a pre-order bonus, I can't imagine because like I pre-ordered the Harry Potter game like the week before, like a few days before, because I wanted the 72-hour free early access. So, but they let me.
Me personally, I just knew I was getting all the characters anyway, so I pre-ordered the medium tier one. My only downfall of this one is they don't give you the steel case with the medium tier one. They give it to you with the higher, most expensive one. And last time they gave you the steel case with the medium tier. So that's the only thing that sucks about this one.
Gotcha. All right.
I still got to finish Mortal Kombat 11 story mode.
Oh my god, you know.
Better get to it, man. You got what? 3.5 months? Yeah, I mean you had it for years though. But
I'm more talking about Mortal Kombat 11, not Elden Ring. I mean, I can finish it.
What's taking you so long?
Guns a blazing. That clearly. But everyone's tip top tonight. That should tell you exactly what type of show you're gonna get. We're gonna dial it back. We're going to dig in the crates,
just like Mortal Kombat did.
That was a crypt.
No, I meant like they dug back. They dug back in the crates and went back in time by calling it MK1. That's what I was.
Tell us the crypt. Yeah, we're going back. It was 1992. We're going back to that year. And if you're looking behind my guy Drew, you're kind of looking like this looks familiar. What is this? This is the poster to the WWF 1992 Royal Rumble. This is I don't want to call him a fan. I don't want to call him a listener either. But this is a request from someone who listens to the No Pyro podcast. And they said, hey, can you guys give me something? I want to know what your take is on the pay-per-view. So you asked...
Real quick, before you go into that, real quick. Do you guys know what you were doing in 1992?
I do. I was at least for like maybe a couple days. I was coloring a fucking Beetlejuice coloring book. I was big into the Beetlejuice cartoon show at that time.
I was going to school with the Red Shadow lunchbox. I do remember that preschool. And what else? Watching Barney and Gargoyles.
Yeah, I was 10, so I'm probably doing something and probably watching cartoons on an 8-inch color TV.
Man.
And play it outside. That's about it. I definitely was not watching wrestling. Not gonna cap. I mean, sometimes it was on Saturday mornings, but no pay-per-views. Absolutely zero.
Was that with Michael P.S. Hayes for Livewire? Or am I too early?
You're too early.
Okay.
That's later, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like 90.
That's when I started watching.
Yeah, 96. Yeah, Livewire. P.S. Michael Hayes.
Yeah.
Or Michael P.S. Hayes. Whatever.
I want to shout out a movie that just came out when we're talking about the request on this. He's not a listener. He's not a subscriber. He's family.
Is this your Dominic Toretto voice?
Yeah. Terrible. What is this? Terrible. I can't do Vin Diesel. I'm sorry.
I know we're getting off on a tangent, but real quick, I saw a story today that said that the Fast and Furious saga is not over with. It's going to continue with just women, allegedly.
I saw the meme. There was a meme that says that all their heists are just replacing the cars that they fuck up when they're parallel parking.
I should be laughing at that. It is so wrong. Jeez Louise. All right. Nevertheless, we are here for a special episode reviewing the 1992 Royal Rumble. We'll be back next week, too, to talk about Night of Champions. And also, AEW's got a little pay-per-view, or a PLE, or whatever they're calling it. And we're going to talk about that as well. So I can't wait for that. But today, we're going back.
Just for like a little bit of a background on the show, their lead up, Hulk Hogan everyone's favorite wrestler on this podcast. Everyone's favorite. Never did anything wrong in his life. He was WWE champion. Lost to The Undertaker due to outside interference. They decided to have a special pay-per-view on Tuesday in Texas. That ended in a no contest. So they held up the WWF Championship. And that's where we come to here, where the WWF Championship, the vacant championship, is being held up at the Royal Rumble. They did a lot of firsts here. They tried to, see what The Undertaker looked like with the championship. That was his first reign. And they also wanted to see what pay-per-views looked like on a Tuesday. They did not work.
Oh, man. Was it Taboo?
No, it was Tuesday in Texas.
Taboo.
Nobody bought that shit.
My goodness. Yeah, that didn't work at all. Oh, my gosh.
No. It was like 2 days after Survivor Series. Who's buying that?
Yeah, I don't know. This is the 5th installment of the Royal Rumble. So, grounds were being made. Steam was being gained. So this was also in Albany, New York at the Knickerbocker Arena. Now, not to confuse that with the New York Knickerbockers who play in Madison Square Garden. So I don't know if this is like a little brother type of situation with the naming rights or whatever, but that's what they called it back in '92. I don't know if the building still exists or if it's a new name now.
It's currently known as MVP Arena.
Is this the Pepsi Arena?
Nope, the MVP Arena. Oh, well, it was the Pepsi Arena, yeah.
Okay.
And might I just add to the requester, shout out to you, but please give this video a like because you had me sit through hella tag team matches for this pay-per-view.
Yeah. a like warrants Swervy's sit through of, I don't know, what is it, 4 tag team matches on the card. Yeah.
That's a lot for me, bro.
Look, I didn't mind the tag team matches, but the commentary, listen, I took off my nostalgia glasses, and I will say this flat out. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, as a commentary team, they were not it. They were not it. There was so much in that commentary where I'm just like, bro. Like,
you took off your nostalgic ears? Because, I mean,
I
remember hearing those two as a combination when I'm younger. And I always told you guys I didn't pay attention to commentary, but there are those times I still didn't, but it just sounded like it went with the action. Like the voices, not exactly what they were saying. Yeah. So I don't really have. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. They caught specific moments, right? Like when certain things happen, it went well, but when you're watching a whole pay-per-view with it, it's just like, this is giving me Shivani vibes and Taz vibes.
Really, Taz vibes.
Some of it.
Who do you deem as Taz out of those two?
Let me just read off some of my favorite lines from this commentary team on the show.
Lines now.
We have the following tag team attraction. Oh, he's going off like a bull in a china closet.
Whoa.
And then there's Bobby Heenan's constant, oh, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. Like, it's funny, like, the first time, but, like, literally anytime a heel does something, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Like,
So, Drew, if you're going to excuse all of the other things you mentioned, you got to excuse the commentary.
What do you mean?
Like, it being on a Tuesday and all these other different things that they tried. Like, you mentioned some caveats in the beginning, so you gotta kind of, put your nostalgic ears back on when you're listening to them.
Oh,
I will say that the bull in the China shop line is very familiar, and it does sound like
closet, not shop, closet. Who the fuck has a China closet?
I don't. You know who does? The person that says this is a rocket buster of a match, Cole. That guy, because it sounds just like something he would say.
He was fed those lines by Joey Numbers down by the docks, and you know it.
Yeah. All right. So, what kicks us off?
Yeah. So I'll give the I'll give the thing, Drew, and then you can take it after me.
Okay.
So this was the dark match of the night where we had Chris Walker, whose birth name was Glenn Cohn, take on the Brooklyn Brawler. I don't know the time of that match, but I do know that the Brooklyn Brawler got defeated by disqualification.
So let me ask you this: what's your favorite Chris Walker match?
This one
I
right
like
here.
Walker. I like Walker, Texas Ranger. USA.
Dude, I read this and I'm just like, who the hell is Chris Walker? It's like your dark match is just two jobbers. Like you don't even have a guy squashing a jobber.
Wait. We're gonna back it up. Okay, the Brooklyn Brawler, aka Steve Lombardi, is not a jobber.
How is he not a jobber?
Well, he's a name. We'll say that.
He is a name.
He's the king of the jobbers, but he's still a jobber.
I think he got a few like walk down ramp entrances. So I think if you get like one or two, you're not a jobber anymore.
Brooklyn Brawler is the Jimmy Dean of the ham and eggs.
Wait a minute. You don't like Jimmy Dean sausages? Is that what I'm hearing?
He's just peak. He is peak.
Oh, okay. All right. Just making sure.
Of the frozen breakfast meats, Jimmy Dean is up here, and of the jobbers, Brooklyn Brawler's up here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Brawler knew he was going to be able to pay the light bill. Chris Walker, maybe not. But Brawler, he knew he was showing up every week. He was going to be seeing those lights. But when he gets home, he's still going to be seeing those lights.
Yeah.
So would he not have even been on NXT if this was that time?
No, he's jerking that curtain. He is.
All right.
He's when you show up to Marine Midland Arena and you get there at 6, even though Raw starts at 8. He's out there wrestling.
He's that match before Superstars.
He's talking about Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy before they even debuted in the ring. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking the guy who gets no music, who loses to Zack Ryder.
Wow.
The guy who's wrestling for an $18 check. That guy.
Yeah.
But it was a consistent check.
Yeah, I don't have much to offer on this.
Now, was this on Peacock, this match?
No. That's why they don't have match time.
That's why I have nothing to offer.
Absolutely. All right, second match. The Orient Express, Kato and Pat Tanaka, managed by the legendary Mr. Fuji. They lost to Natty's father, Jim Neidhart, and Owen Hart, the New Foundation. This one got a 17-minute and 19-second runtime. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
So I have two takeaways from this match. First off, ain't no way in 2023 we're calling a Japanese tag team the Orient Express.
I feel like the theme of this show is going to be a lot of expired, inappropriate sayings. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, New Foundation, Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart, were probably wearing the worst wrestling outfits I have ever seen in my life. I forgot all about these outfits. They looked like Chris Chetty in ECW circa 1998. They looked like at any point in time they were about to strip down and celebrate a woman in the front row's bachelorette party. Like, bro, what are we wearing?
Drew, it's 1992.
Yeah.
What about the match, sir?
The match was good. I mean, the Orient Express were definitely pretty good. It was a lot of Jim Neidhart hoping for that hot tag. I personally forgot that this was actually before Owen Hart's heel turn in '94. So I'm like, man, they're really loving the heels, forgetting that they're not the heels. But you know, it was good. Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart are always good. This was actually one of my highlights of the pay-per-view.
So I was going to say it. So this is the first of these tag matches that I had to sit through, right? And I was trying to keep it open mind. I was trying not to judge just with my Attitude Era goggles on. And I think WWEF
Get the F
tried
out.
to try to. I'll say I think for the most part they looking back at this match they remained consistent with trying to have a what you call a good opener, and I think this fit the bill for that time. It being Jim Anvil Neidhart with peak goatee, okay, down to the navel, all right, and then you got Owen Hart. Like, come on now, Owen Hart. Do I need to say more? Uh, so it had a lot of action in it for that particular time, but there was your share of rest holds and chin locks, and maybe one scoop slam here and there. But again, like Drew said, this was probably a good match here. If I had to give it a grade for that particular time, I'd probably go 3 stars.
I would go 3.5. I'd give it more, but I felt it was just a bit long.
Yeah, it did run on too long. But again, you got to see how many matches. You got to look at how many matches there were, and you knew everybody was getting time.
Almost everyone.
Yeah.
Just the tag team. I know we got another match to talk about later in the card, but the progression of the tag team match. Do you guys feel like it's in a positive or a negative direction from what we saw in this opener with the 92 Rumble?
Versus like today.
Right.
So one thing I'll say, athleticism obviously is better today, right? But one thing I noticed looking at this pay-per-view overall, they had a much better emphasis on just simple moves back in the day, which I wish they would sort of bring back today. Like when somebody got just a headbutt to the chest or a simple, stomp here to the leg or something like that, you felt that impact. Just listen to it, and it did sound, it did look and sound for the part. Now I don't hear that as much today, but then they got all the other high impact moves to sort of make up for where they're lacking. But I would like to see some of that come back.
Also, I felt that the manager role has deteriorated today from what it was before. Mr. Fuji getting involved, especially like the spot where he put his cane in the corner and then caught, I believe it was Owen Hart with it, was really good. It's something where they don't do that enough today. Managers today just stand on the outside and clap or just stand there just to be a manager. Whereas Mr. Fuji was getting involved in this match constantly and being almost like another participant.
Now, hold on, Joe. I'm not gonna let you do that now. Did you see the look on Paul Heyman's face when Roman just gets out of 2 count?
I mean, Paul Heyman is different, but I'm talking about like Karrion Kross, his wife Scarlett. She'll just stay on the outside, clap. Like a lot of the managers who are just put with people nowadays because they either need an attractive female with them or they need a wrestler in their group to be their manager, don't really contribute to the match itself, especially the heel ones.
Should they do the old Terry Reynolds distraction?
I mean, sure. It worked.
No, but I hear you on that though. I agree.
I'm watching the match and already I'm just the tag team and I'm seeing different camera angles. Saw a zoom in on Mr. Fuji's face. I saw a turnbuckle camera angle when they were doing an Irish whip tour. I mean, there were some things that the WWE can go back to bring it to now because I mean it wasn't like terrible, but I just think there's a lot of work that they can do, and I don't want to say that the action now is reminiscent or similar to what was back then, but I think they can just go ahead and take a couple of things from what they were doing back then and bring it to today's date, just to give it a refreshed look, because I think it needs it.
Yeah.
The next match is Roddy Piper, who defeated the Mountie. And the Mountie came out with another manager, Jimmy Hart. That was done by submission. And that was for the Intercontinental Championship, which the Mountie came in the match as the title holder. 5 minutes, 21 seconds for RRP. Thoughts?
Now,
I'll go first.
Oh,
So, at first, when you watch these nostalgia matches, sometimes you have to. Sometimes it catches you off guard the way a match ends, or at least it does for me. And when I see somebody go down to like the headlock, I'm like, wait a minute, this is it? And I forget some of these guys' finishers were very basic. And Roddy Piper, he took him down with that. Now, I don't have a problem with this match being short because you have to remember this is a Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Some of your major players will be pulling a double duty that night, right? So you got to give them a break somewhere. So I don't have a problem with this being short. However, the only issue I will say was one of the few singles matches, and it could have went longer versus all these other tag matches that I had to sit through. So that's my only beef. But yeah, it was a very short match. I from what I can recall, it wasn't too many things going on with it. I'd have to just grade this at a 2.5. I mean, it's Roddy Piper, but and shout out to the Mountie because I did not even realize that he had a title reign. Coming into pay-per-view.
So with the Mountie, he was actually a transitional champion.
Mm.
Bret Hart was the Intercontinental Champion. They took it off him just a couple days earlier because of the fact that Bret was kind of in a contract dispute at that point in time and was actually trying to get out of his contract even back in 92. Obviously, he ended up staying, but because of that, they decided to take the belt off him, put it on the Mountie, and then from the Mountie, put it on Piper. Obviously, this match was only about 5.5 minutes long. That's because Piper was doing the double duty, and he was going to be in the Royal Rumble match for quite a long time, so they didn't want to burn him out of this match.
Right. And that's something they still do to this day.
Yeah. I was going to say, is it a giveaway with Piper winning the IC title that he's not going to win the Rumble at this point? I mean, if you take your 30-plus-year-old brain and transport it to 92 and go, if I'm watching this live and he wins, do I really think he's a major player in the Rumble because now he's got the IC title? Because
so here's something that happened during the pay-per-view. During the pay-per-view on commentary, as well as during Piper's post-match interview, they kept on alluding to the fact that Piper was in line to make history and that he could be the only guy in WWF history to win 2 titles in one night. So they kept on alluding to that and really just pushing that home that, hey, Piper, he could make history tonight. He could be the first guy to do this. And they kept on saying this even during the Royal Rumble, like, he could make history. So they were really pushing that fact on you that this could really happen.
Excuse me, Mac. Let me just try to rephrase. So were you asking if I had seen this for the first time at that time, would I think that he was going to do it? Is that how you asked the question?
You could say that. I was just saying, knowing what you know now as a spectator, going back watching this, would you say, hey,
well,
we're going to win now?
I'll answer it 2 ways.
Even though you already know the results.
I'll answer it 2 ways. So right, knowing what I know now, absolutely not. But back then, since this was how many installments was this? The 5th? Yeah. They hadn't done this a lot. So back then, I would think, well, Piper has hell of a momentum going to Royal Rumble now. I would look at it that way. Like, yeah, why would he be a favorite to win? Because they treated that championship like a workforce championship for many years after that point. So yeah, I would think that he could do it. Versus, it was a star-studded Royal Rumble for that era. I'll
Definitely. Definitely. And just to piggyback with you guys about the previous match about managers, I mean, we were in the golden era of managers from 90 to 99 or 2000. I don't want to list the names of women and men managers, but now I feel like we have 2 MVP Scarlett and Paul Heyman. I don't know who else is out there. Forgive me if I'm missing someone. If I am, leave it in the comments.
Are you saying as far as top managers? Because I don't know if I put Scarlett there. Shit.
Well, manager.
With her?
Notable ones, I guess you could say.
I mean, I think Lana was better than Scarlett as far as being a manager.
Yeah, I mean, her interest is cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, we haven't seen Lana in what?
We haven't even seen her man.
Well, no, I did because she was at a PLE recently. She was at Backlash, allegedly. But I'm just saying, going from that to this is like, wow, you kind of miss it because they did interfere. They did impact the match. And you see it here and there with Heyman, more so MVP with his cane. But I just think it's like the mid-range in basketball. It's a lost art. And I think we need to kind of bring that back. Maybe we'll get it. Who knows? Moving on.
Before we move on.
Yeah.
One thing that was put in the Peacock was the home video exclusives. And so in between this match and the next match was a exclusive interview with Hulk Hogan. And this is what I love about this timeline, because not everything is overproduced. Nowadays, they do every interview in the same spot, which is in front of the monitors where they have, that whole thing going on. They're interviewing Hulk Hogan in the shitter. Like, they're literally in the fucking bathroom. You can see a toilet when he walks in, and they're interviewing Hulk Hogan about the Royal Rumble match. And I'm like, this is amazing. They couldn't wait 5 minutes for the guy to get out of the bathroom. Like, Hulk Hogan, I know you just took a meaty shit, but what do we think?
Yeah. I think they're going back to those more organic type of interviews where even like when they're wrestling in jeans now. Like it's a different look than it was 4 or 5 years ago. So I mean that's cool. The next match, yes, Arrow, you're right. Tag team match. The Beverly Brothers, Bo and Blake, with the Genius defeating the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, who were accompanied by Jameson. 14 minutes and 57 seconds. This is 2 of 3 tag team matches of the evening. Drew, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
I know that you had just got done saying that this was the golden age of managers. Let me, despite what you just said,
yes,
these guys are not that.
Yeah.
The Genius, Macho Man Randy Savage's actual brother.
Jizza?
What's that?
Say Jizza was a manager?
The Genius.
These jokes work even less when you're on camera.
He did not get the talent from his brother. Jameson, I had never seen this guy before in my life. And I don't fuck with him. I do not fuck with Jameson.
You're talking about the whiskey or you're talking about this guy?
I'm talking... Is there a difference? He looks like he tastes like that. Listen, I don't really like the Bushwhackers. I never got behind them. Somehow they got worse with Jameson.
That kind of sounds like decisions after your third or fourth drink of Jameson. Things just go progressively worse.
He looks like he's from some Canadian sketch comedy show that's just really shitty. Like some Red Green type thing. Where he's just, no, I'm like the Bushwhackers, but I'm not. I'm in a suit, but I'm not.
My only surprise here is that the Bushwhackers lost.
Well, you had to get a heel over.
Yeah, I get it, but I like I said, I was watching this for the first time. I don't know if any of you had seen this back in the day and just kind of recalled it, but to me, I did not look at the results ahead of time. I watched just, and I said, wow, the Bushwhackers lost. Not that they were like, running the tag team division back in the day, but I just figured they would beat these guys just because I didn't know who they were.
So I'm watching the pre-match interview. Oh God, this is awful. I don't really like the Bushwhacker shtick. I think it's hokey.
You don't like licking someone's forehead?
Not at all. And their manager, Jameson, his glasses, he's got the patented, the Bubba Ray tape in the middle. He's got a paperclip holding up the frames to the lenses, and he's chewing on his tie. I mean, can you give the fans more credit and not put stuff like this out? Like, this looks terrible. I mean, I get the Bushwhackers are like some, down by the river type of tag team, but you gotta do better than this.
So something tells me you weren't a big George the Animal Steel guy.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. A lot of the early gimmicks I really really cringeworthy for me. Like a lot. Like, oh my gosh. All right. Well, guys, the Royal Rumble, you talked about it earlier. A lot of double duty. Well, in this pay-per-view, the wrestlers weren't the only ones doing double duty. Managers were doing it too. And you saw him once already in the Roddy Piper match. You're going to see him again. That's right. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, was managing the Natural Disasters, which is a nice, fitting, cool tag team name, Earthquake and Typhoon. They defeated the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, by countout, and this was for the WWF Tag Team Championships. 9 minutes, 24 seconds. Swervy Lee, take us there.
So, my only problem with that tag team name is I think the singular name should be switched around. Typhoon should be Earthquake, Earthquake should be Typhoon. But I wasn't really mad at the ending because I didn't want those guys, the Natural Disasters, to lose. But I understand, why they had to do what they did, right? Because you couldn't just one team couldn't just pummel over the other team because those were representing your top, your number one contender and your championship. It was the Legion of Doom, and this was the, in their peak era or whatever. So you couldn't just you had to have some kind of hokey win as far as them, retaining their belts or whatever, right? So I'm not going to grade it very high. I can't based off that. I had some kind of a finish. I would have, but this was one of the matches that had a lot of those holes that I was telling you about. And these guys were pretty much gassed really early, and a scoop slam here and there. So these are some large dudes, by the way. Like, let me just say that. But yeah, this is probably, I don't want to say the pinnacle tag team, but it's pretty close to what you would have gotten at that time. So I'm going to have to give it a 2.5. 2.5 stars.
This was a typical LOD match. Come in, be a wrecking ball, look strong, and then if you're going to lose by some bullshit way, like come out in disqualification. It's actually hard to believe that with everything that they had going on, they're tag team champions, built to look strong. They were only in the WWE for another 7-8 months.
Yeah.
And then they left right after SummerSlam because Hawk is a big fan of crack cocaine. But yeah, for what it was a typical LOD match. Natural Disasters, good tag team. Vince loved them. 2.5 stars.
Don't want to derail too quick, but real quick, guys, who is the Marty Jannetty of LOD?
Ooh.
Hawk.
No,
Animal. Because when they did their separate stuff, when Animal was hurt and Hawk was doing his separate stuff, and then Hawk unfortunately passed away and Animal was doing his separate stuff, Hawk was more successful in his separate stuff. I think he was U.S. champ in WCW. He won, I think, the Intercontinental title in New Japan, whereas Animal never really did anything big as a singles wrestler.
But Hawk was the one with the addiction, right?
He was. And unfortunately, that's what took him out. But as a singles wrestler, he was more successful. Okay. And I think he also may have won the TV title in ECW. I could be wrong, but I know he did win some belts on his own.
Okay. Yeah,
I was. If they're in the Hall of Fame,
well, they got it.
I think they are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can you because we had all of those years in between them not going in for reasons,
and
now they're in. I still can't, believe it took that long to get them in.
Yeah, they were in 2011.
Yeah. All right, we got one match left. and it is the main event, the Royal Rumble. Before we get there, I heard Swervy and Drew, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of 2.5s, a lot of 3s. I feel like the matches before the main event, specifically at the Royal Rumble, are designed to be duds. I can't recall a lot of matches before Royal Rumble that are like super good, except for this one that just happened in January.
They're not a focus.
But here's my question: should they be?
No. They are
think
filler.
the persons who go on right before the Royal Rumble, I don't have any facts, but I wonder, are they in the Royal Rumble first of all, and are they like coming out later because they were so close to the match, or were they just not even in it at all? That's what I would wonder about that.
They used to be. It used to be where most of the people wrestling at least single matches were in the Rumble. Now, not so much, but it used to be where that was commonplace.
Yeah.
I just think, with feuds and everything, it's the top of the year. They should give a little bit more credence to those non-Rumble matches that they have on the card.
Now, to actually add on to that, you asked if it was, a big deal, the matches before it. Just to reiterate that, I believe they've had, 35 Royal Rumble pay-per-views? The WWF Championship, or WWE Championship, has only changed hands 9 times at the Rumble pay-per-view in 35 years.
And one of them, or was it 2 of them in the Royal Rumble?
You're asking
yep.
a championship being defended in the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, because they had the one where Triple H won.
Yeah,
and then they had this one.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. Not wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's the other significance about this pay-per-view versus other Royal Rumbles, and it made me think of that as well. Aside from all the, one thing I don't think I've seen before any other Royal Rumbles that I've watched is right before this one actually took off, they had a bunch of promos from all your top guys.
Yep. One thing I did notice about this, and it's something that they don't do anymore, which I'm actually kind of glad about, they revealed everyone who's going to be in the Royal Rumble at the beginning of the pay-per-view. The show opens with Vince McMahon aggressively screaming everyone's name who's going to be in this Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think at the time, I mean, we're still in the honeymoon years of this pay-per-view, or PLE, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, is Vince selling the match or the spectacle that was the Royal Rumble because it hadn't completely gone over yet? Or what's the point of revealing who's in the match, aside from the promotion standpoint of it?
It's promotion. It's to say, hey, check out this pay-per-view. Here's all the guys in this match. It's all your favorites.
Yeah, I think you have to at this time because, like I said, this was a star-studded Royal Rumble for that time, and some of these guys were not on the earlier card, so you have to kind of reveal some of the names, right? Like if I'm, whoever back in the day, I'm not coming to see this Royal Rumble if Jake the Snake ain't there, or you know what I mean. Like you got to give me some names,
right?
Otherwise, you might not. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they had to do that.
All right.
And then also to kind of reiterate how unimportant matches are at the Royal Rumble. Besides that, Bob Holly competed for the WWF Championship at the Royal Rumble. That's how little they care about the matches before the Royal Rumble.
Now, hold on, now that's when he was hardcore. Now
that was 99.
02.
He went against Brock Lesnar.
Well, he actually had a shot.
Listen, and it was believable. It was a believable match. He didn't just
that match was real good.
He didn't treat him like Ricochet.
No,
the only thing I didn't like about that match was they were trying to sell the broken neck so much that he basically was in a full Nelson the entire match.
Isn't that weird? Bob, he got that big thick scar on his back.
Yeah,
that was the match, right?
The one that
that was when he was in ECW.
No. He had that match, the big red scar.
Yeah, he got the big cut going. Yeah, I think that was the match.
I thought he got that when he went over to ECW when they brought that back.
I don't know.
Maybe it's both. I don't. But I do remember because was the ECW one from the kendo stick?
He might have been taped up by then.
It was like a table. Like the table broke weird and it cut him.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do remember that spot. You're right.
This was his broken neck, and I apologize. It was actually 2003, not 2002. But yeah, he was coming back from his broken neck.
His broken freaking neck. Before we get to the Rumble, quick shout out. Again, I'm watching the matches as we go along, and who do I see in the ring with Hawk and Animal, and Earthquake and Typhoon? None other than the Great Thief, Earl Hebner. Shout out to him.
Listen, that's Pete Hebner right there. All right.
All right, Drew.
T-shirts.
I'll let you take it away, man.
All right. So, Royal Rumble time. They reiterate that this is the first time that the Royal Rumble is actually going to be for something. Previously, the Royal Rumble was just a fun match. This is the first time that something is actually on the line for it. Vacant WWF Championship. At this point in time, there was only 4 pay-per-views. So the fact that this is continuing a storyline from November is pretty interesting. We start off. The number one entrant is the British Bulldog.
Drew, before you go too far into it,
yeah.
Even though this is for the vacant WWF Championship, don't they mention that this person will be defending it at Mania or something like that? Don't they mention that too here? Did I hear that?
I mean, it's just going to be that, they'll be champion. But it's not like that they know who he's going to be competing against.
Right. Yeah, they didn't go that far. But I'm just thinking, I thought I heard that, though. But
yeah.
Are you sure it was British Bulldog? I thought it was Bo Derek.
What?
I thought it was Bo Derek out there.
Sip your drink, sir.
Number 2 is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. $1 Million Man got no love in this. He was only in it for 1 minute 18 seconds. He was eliminated before number 3 even got in.
Yeah, I was very surprised by this elimination, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is only a few years removed from him headlining WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who knows? Maybe his time served in jail for this Brett Favre money shit that he's in is going to be lesser than the time he was spitting the Royal Rumble.
Oh, that's his son.
Same thing.
Pay for the sins of your son? Is that how it goes? I thought it was probably.
Hey, look, they're changing up a lot of things nowadays, bro. You'd be surprised.
Anywho, next entrant is Ric Flair. Obviously, Bobby Heenan freaking out because he's his manager. And listen, I know a lot of people love Bobby Heenan. I could not stand the fact that he was constantly going on about how, I got to get out there. I got to get out there. I got to help my guy. It's, bro, just relax. Just commentate.
Also, Bobby, he came out there with Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, he had 2 managers. He had Mr. Perfect, who at this point in time was not wrestling. He had cashed in his long-term disability lawsuit. And he had Bobby the Brain Heenan.
This is against the WWF?
Yeah, he pulled the Lloyds of London. That was like a big thing where a lot of wrestlers, when they felt that maybe their career was coming to an end, they claimed disability, and Lloyds of London would pay them out like a big check, some like 6 figures. But part of it was, if you ever wrestle again, you have to pay them back. All of it. So that's why like a guy like Rick Rude, who could wrestle, never did. He cashed out, and then when he tried to wrestle for WCW, they're like, no, you owe us that money if you even take a bump.
Wow.
Next in is Jerry Saggs from the Nasty Boys. His partner missed the show.
You nasty boy, you nasty. Jerry, you so nasty.
Jerry was not long for this world. He was also eliminated by the Bulldog. Then we had Haku come in. I was surprised that Haku was not in there long either. He was only in there for under 2 minutes, eliminated by the Bulldog. And then we get Shawn Michaels. What's that?
Swervy's boy.
This is actually the very first televised show for Shawn Michaels since he broke up from Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, when he got put through that glass in the barbershop with everything, right? This is where the term Jannetty come from, baby. This is it right
Marty
here.
Jannetty was supposed to be in the show. He missed the show, and they played it off as he was concussed and cut up. It looks like he probably missed for other reasons. Wink. Be sure to tune in to be Dark Side of the Ring. I'm sure that they'll explain that to you.
You mean Sniff?
He was sniffing, smoking, killing a guy, apparently.
They gave Shawn Michaels a pretty big, promo and everything here too. So they had you believing that the boyhood dream was going to come true early.
Yeah, he was one of the guys who lasted a little bit of a long time in here. He hung in there. Tito Santana came in 7th. Now we're getting to the guys who are hanging on for 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian is next at 8th.
Yeah, I risked those guys. Right after I saw Cool and the Barbarian came out, I was like, damn, I forgot all about Barbarian.
Wasn't it cool to go back and see the superstars of yesteryear that you forgot about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
because we had Haku as well, and they were attacked WCW.
Yeah.
Tito and Shawn Michaels actually ended up eliminating each other. Here's a weird thing that I noticed in this Royal Rumble. Their rules are way different than our rules now. One of the big things, like if you jump over the top rope, you're not eliminated. Like Shawn Michaels, I think, jumped over the top rope at one point and was allowed to just go right back in.
Was that something that was just like not supposed to be caught though? Like how many other people? I don't recall seeing that happen much time.
Well, what they claimed it to be is you have to be thrown over.
Right.
So if you go over yourself, you could just come right back in.
So no self-elimination.
Yeah. That was interesting. Next, we had the Texas Tornado come in, Kerry Von Erich, 1 foot in all. We had the Repo Man next at 10. Holy shit.
This is another name for you.
Right.
Dude, this guy's promo before it was just incredible. I love stealing stuff. I love it. And when I get in there, I'm going to steal the championship. It's like, bro. He cut that promo when the camera's over. He's like, what the fuck am I doing? He had his little hook and everything. He lasted about 6 minutes. Greg Valentine was 11th. He was actually eliminated by the Repo Man. So
that tells you.
Sorry, Greg, I'm gonna shame you.
That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. 12th, we have Nikolai Volkov, who was also eliminated by the Repo Man.
Ooh, 2 eliminations. Let's go.
Repo Man was putting in work. I think we may have lost Mac.
He's probably taking a bite or something.
13th, we have Big Boss Man, who lasted about 3 minutes and was eliminated by Flair. At this point in the match, they were reiterating constantly that Ric Flair could set... Well, they kept on reiterating who had the longest time in the Royal Rumble. I forget who they mentioned, but they kept on reiterating that, the longest time is like 45 minutes or something. They kept on reiterating this because Ric Flair had been in there for quite a while, and the British Bulldog was as well. He lasted about 23 minutes before being eliminated by Flair. Next up, we have Hercules, who came in at 14. Hercules.
I don't remember Hercules being called out.
He was he looked like a Hispanic Jake the Snake Roberts. Had the hair, had the handlebar mustache.
I'm drawing a blank on that one. Don't remember that entrance.
15th was the brand new Intercontinental Champion, Roddy Piper, who would come in and last about 34 minutes in the Royal Rumble. So that really explains why his match was so short, because 34 minutes on top of the 9 that he wrestled earlier.
Yeah.
Was it 9 or 5?
I think it was 5.
5.
16th, Jake the Snake Roberts. Coming in 10 minutes, 55 seconds. He would eventually be eliminated by Randy Savage, which would set up their feud throughout the 92 year. Jim Duggan would come in at 17th. I gotta ask, was anyone here a big Jim Duggan fan?
No.
No.
Let me ask you: do you put him in the same category as the Brooklyn Brawler?
No. And I say this because first off, he won matches. He's held titles. But I think the thing that killed him.
So slow down, Drew. Because that's what I was wondering. What titles has he held? Mid card or heavyweight?
WCW.
Mid card.
He was TV champ and I believe US champ.
I think WCW held their TV title in higher regards in some points, so I'm not going to crap over it and say, oh, that didn't mean anything. Sometimes I think more than the US title, but okay. So in WWEF, he didn't do much, right?
So he was primed to be a big player. What happened was in the 80s, he got pulled over with the Iron Sheik in his car at a time where kayfabe was still really big. Good guy, bad guy in the same car. You can't do that. Not to mention, they were high as giraffe pussy. And not on small stuff. So basically that he took a hit, so did Iron Sheik. And he really never recovered in WWE.
He was more of what do you call those acts? Like I don't call them parody. Like a novelty act though. And later in his career though.
Roddy
Okay,
Piper,
so I'll put him in the Doink the Clown category.
Yeah.
Even though he held championships. That's just where I put him. I'm sorry.
That's fair. Roddy Piper had a term for guys like that. He called them handymen. Like, they're not jobbers. They're not stars. They're guys who could get over. They'll get in their moves. What?
The jars.
They'll put in work, but they're not going to be stars.
Look, I'm just saying, man, Raw 02, Brooklyn Brawler got a pop.
He was in Brooklyn.
Well, you know what I want to know? How does the WWE find out that they got... How long are these guys staying in jail when they get pulled over?
Oh, they know immediately.
Hey, it depends on if Vince is coming to the table or not. That's all I got to say.
I mean, aren't you calling your loved one? I'm not calling my boss. Like, yo, I'm in jail.
You got to make that sound.
Hey, you tell that to Jimmy Snooker.
Hey, if you kill your girlfriend, he'll show up with a briefcase of money. If you're riding in a car with a bad guy,
Oh, man.
If this is gonna damage the on-screen feud that I've been building up for like the past 6 weeks, you can forget it, pal.
You think the patrol officer is gonna rat that out and tell the world? Like by the time it gets to you, by the time you'll be to have the event already.
No, it was in the newspapers.
I forgot about
God
that.
damn it, pal! You killed a town.
Oh well.
18th, we have IRS. Bray Wyatt's father.
Bray.
By this point, his gimmick was pretty much.
The gimmicks
19.
back then were pretty much.
Well, I mean, it worked in like the 80s when Money Inc. was something. At this point, it's like, who cares? Like, you're feuding with Virgil. Like, who cares? But at 19th, speaking of killing your girlfriend, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. This dude had to be like pushing like 40 at this point, and he was still shredded. Like, I don't know what his workouts are, but this dude was still ripped up.
I'll demonstrate. Woo!
That's not fair. Because there's some shredded dudes we have today that are 40 years old. They're still shredded. That's not fair to say.
Oh my God.
I gotta see how old he was at this point. So let's see, 43. Born in 43, 92. Dude was pushing 50.
Oh, okay, maybe he was.
Whoa.
Those tassels look like they were holding on for dear life, bro. He was on something.
Bro,
so he should have even been wrestling. He should have been commentating with Monsoon.
Hey, listen, you can't kill your girlfriend and hop in the booth. Like, you got to be in the ring. I mean, Vince needs to make that money up. He wasn't paying those cops off with five figures.
Isn't it a shame? Just mentally think about the top stars of the 80s and early 90s and how shitty like 90% of those guys are.
If Twitter existed in the 80s, holy shit, that company would be under.
So under.
Jimmy Snuka is in the Royal Rumble, and get him out. Get him out.
Now, mind you, we only know the things that were told to newspapers and stuff in the locker room. Imagine I don't know, I don't want to call them peons, but the people who are in the media nowadays scrummaging for news and information. Imagine them doing the same thing with a Twitter account in the 80s and the 90s. We'd have a lot more dirt on these guys.
Be a lot more drama rants.
They were closing down every bar in every town they went to. You're telling me that somebody's not going to be in a bar and seeing these guys getting ripped up every night and going click, like,
yeah, man.
I mean, there's stories of Vince showing up at a bar, getting fucked up, and taking everyone's finisher in the bar.
It's almost a gift and a curse that didn't happen, because I mean, yeah, it sucks that they were like that, but then you do get like the genuine stories that maybe wouldn't have happened if that was, something back then.
Like, Bret Hart was very inspirational to a lot of kids. It would probably break a lot of hearts if you read an article where, oh yeah, no, I delivered cocaine to his hotel room. Bret Hart is just slaying rats every night.
Rails, bro. Just line them up. Allegedly.
Dude's doing more lines than attention.
What do we got next coming up, Drew?
So at number 20, we have the first guy who was involved with the vacancy, The Undertaker.
Big player.
What's that?
Big player.
Yeah. Surprisingly, he does not last as long in this match. He only lasts about 13 minutes. And only gets one elimination the entire match, that being Snuka.
Who eliminated him? Was it Maven?
No, Undertaker eliminated Snuka. Oh, who eliminated Undertaker? Hogan.
That was a joke. I knew that.
I felt like Hogan went up to Vince before the show and was like, hey, brother, just massaging his mustache. Brother, to put this to bed, I think I need to be the one to eliminate the kid, right?
That went on a lot back then.
Yeah.
Those backstage politics.
Next up is Randy Savage. Now, Randy's actually the one who jumped over the ropes and was let back in. I apologize. I said Shawn Michaels earlier. But he came in at 21. He lasted about 22 minutes and 26 seconds. He ended up being eliminated by both Ric Flair and Sid Justice.
Sid with the blue tights.
Blue tight Sid. 22 is the Berserker. Hey, what's your favorite Berserker match?
I can't name any. There's a Berserker on Gears of War, though. Boss fight.
Dude, I have never heard of this guy before in my fucking life. I'm on his Wikipedia page and looking at his other ring names. Dude, this guy is a Mandela effect. How do you put this guy in the 92 Rumble? I've never heard of this guy.
You know what? I just figured something out. Something just hit. I just got a light bulb moment. The guy we always make fun of, Nathan Jones. Had he been here during this era?
Oh my God!
Yeah, champion. He would.
He'd have Jimmy Hart behind him, just yelling into a megaphone. Well, I'll tell you, baby. My baby right here. He was in Australia. He killed a man. 10 years in jail. 10 years in jail.
Yeah, he would have got off.
Yeah. Even like I'm just watching the stature of the Undertaker. I mean, he's such an anomaly back then where that was a good spotlight. He stayed in his lane and creative didn't interject another superstar like him. And that's good because there is only one Undertaker. And nowadays you see guys imitating his moves or how he looks. That would have been bad back then.
I think the craziest thing about The Undertaker really is just a year earlier, Ole Anderson had told him nobody would pay to see him wrestle. And now not only was he already world champ, but now he's still in a spot with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Mark was putting in work. OT, for sure.
And now, speaking about a guy who's definitely right on the level of Hulk Hogan, 23, we got Virgil.
Red and white striped pants and all.
Greatest jobber to ever do it.
Isn't he in the Hall of Fame?
What?
Isn't Virgil in the Hall of Fame?
I ain't saying yes or no. I don't know.
Dude,
so if you don't know, is he truly a jobber?
I mean, no, he held the $1 million champion. I can't fucking say it.
Reality is something, ain't Drew?
Yeah, I mean, looking at his accolades, it ain't great. He was a one-time $1 million championship. He won Best Gimmick of 96 with the NWO. And Best Feud of the Year 96, NWO versus WCW. So even his Wrestling Observer Awards are not for him.
Oh, he's a byproduct.
Yeah, he's a byproduct when he was Vincent.
He's still got a better lineup than Cody Rhodes. Look where we got him.
He's like a practice squad guy for the Patriots who's getting his ring.
You gotta take it there, man.
Because I can.
Dude, I worked with a guy at one of my previous jobs when I worked at a rental car company. And one of the guys who worked there was, he previously did practice squad work with the Redskins and has a Super Bowl ring from Super Bowl 26 when he was on their practice squad.
Oh, wow.
How much is worth?
Oh. So that's how I know that practice squad guys get Super Bowl rings. Next up, 24, we have Colonel Mustafa, who was part of the whole Sergeant Slaughter thing with him being, supporting Iraq.
Him defecting?
Almost got that mixed up with Common Mustafa.
That's actually the Iron Sheik as Colonel Mustafa. So just so you know how far he's fallen, getting busted with Jim Duggan. He went from being main eventing MSG against Hulk Hogan for the championship to being Sergeant Slaughter's lackey.
I just want to say, man, the heat that Sergeant Slaughter got for that defection, oh, man.
Dude, they had to change the venue of WrestleMania for him.
That was, oh, God. Whew. You were talking about Dom heat. Nah, this is some real heat.
Yeah.
25, we have the model Rick Martel. I'm not gonna lie, I always thought Rick Martel was pretty cool.
Yeah, me too.
I thought his gimmick worked. It was, you know,
especially back then.
Yeah, it was what it was. But the fact that like he had that cologne that he would spray in your face, he was a lot better at being, you know, a bullshit bad guy than the narcissist. He was better at it than him, so I liked him. I liked his stuff.
He was more of a, hey, I'm a cool guy. I'm gonna let you know it, but I'm gonna let you know it in a prickly way. And I thought that was pretty sweet.
The next one we had 26, Hulk Hogan.
Terry Bollea.
That's the big pop. Well, that's the peacock pop, and I'll address that in a little bit. But Hulk Hogan comes in. Martel actually lasts longer than Hogan, if you can believe it.
Tells you what they thought of him at the time, right?
This would be his last Royal Rumble. Hogan actually won the previous 2 Royal Rumbles, so he was going for a record-setting 3 here. 27, we have Skinner. Not gonna lie,
That's Skinner.
No clue. I know he previously was a Doink the Clown, but for here he was just Skinner.
I want to go back for a second.
Yeah.
Two is the max for one superstar, right? As far as Royal Rumble wins.
Austin won 3.
Austin's number 1. Then you got like Orton, Hogan, Seth.
Seth, I don't think has ever won. Triple H has 2.
Lesnar has 2.
Lesnar, Michaels. I think
Michaels
Roman.
got 2.
What?
Shawn Michaels got 2?
Yes. 95, 96.
Oh.
All
right, my bad.
Yeah. I think Roman has 2 too. I could be wrong.
You sure Seth doesn't have? I thought Seth got 1.
Batista has 2.
Seth cashed in the Money in the Bank to get his belt.
Batista's got 2.
I think Edge has 2 as well. I think
because Batista does have 2.
They started giving them those guys later. They started getting their second
one. 28 was Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter, I forgot, this was after his WWE title run. So he had actually headlined the previous WrestleMania. As we had talked about, it was highly controversial. But he headlined that previous WrestleMania against Hogan. 29 is Sid Justice. And then 30th would be the Warlord, who is just there. What a waste of number 30.
Yeah.
Hey, we bitch and complain about like the superstars who don't need to be at 30 get that spot, and we're like, they need to change it back, and then we go back to 92 and see this.
Well, yeah, but I think that this was more about the names and who you're going to have in it, and we told you who they are ahead of time, not necessarily the numbers. Now we don't know who's in it, and we're banking on these numbers. You know what I'm saying? So it's different.
I agree.
It's not even just that. It's also the fact that he only lasted a minute and a half and eliminated nobody.
Well, you know what? So I'm not mad at this because I'm on record saying that I do not like celebrity filler in Royal Rumble matches. So if you got to have a guy like, who'd you say, Warlord? I don't care. Just don't put him at number 30, but you can have filler.
I would have preferred Sid Justice at 30. So the final 4 eventually became Savage, Hogan, Sid Justice, and Ric Flair. Flair
talk about
coming
pillars.
in number 3. What's
you
that?
Hear that, Abby? Those are real pillars right there.
Yeah.
Sorry,
well, I don't know about Sid, but so Hogan goes out first. I'm sorry, not Hogan. Savage. Savage is eliminated by both Flair and Sid. And then Hogan is eliminated by Sid. Now, here's why I say that it was a Peacock pop.
Controversy.
On Peacock, When Hogan goes over, it's all boos. The unfiltered one, the original 92 Rumble, he goes over, the crowd pops hard when Sid eliminates Hogan. I don't know if it's because maybe they're just Hogan'd out. Maybe it's just because they want to see something new.
It was anybody but Hogan.
Yeah. And so, of course, Hogan, being the babyface that he is, grabs Sid's arm and allows Ric Flair to throw him over. Now, Ric Flair breaks the record for the longest time in the Royal Rumble at 1 hour and 2 seconds. And a big reason why they did this was because he came over from WCW just a few months earlier, and a lot of WWE fans don't know who he is. They know of him, but they don't really know him. So they kind of wanted to get across that, no, this guy can go. He can go these long matches. He has the endurance. This is what he can do.
That's crazy for that to be a thought. Like, no one knows who Ric Flair is. Like, that's crazy.
But you know what?
It is true.
Because, like, Dusty Rhodes, they even talked about, like, when Dusty came over. He was like, oh, I'm super recognizable. I'm, like, the biggest star in Crockett. And, like, nobody knew who he was. He got pulled over in New York City, and the cop had no clue who he was.
Mm.
You know, he recognized the referee who was driving with him over Dusty. Because, you know, people from up north don't really watch Crockett. They didn't watch WCW. Yeah, it's not something they grew up with.
Now, if he could have just pulled up his IG and showed him his followers, he'd have been off. Can't do that, though.
Are we going to talk about the calamity that ensued post Flair winning the Rumble?
Yes. So, of course, Hogan needs to make it about himself. And he chases him out of the ring, which is something that I was not a fan of at all. Because of the fact that this is Flair's moment. He came into this Royal Rumble as the self-proclaimed real world champion. Because if you remember, he showed up with that WCW title. Big gold belt. He showed up with it. And now he's world champ and is chased out of the ring. And then Sid stares Hogan down. And they make it seem like this is going to be, you know, their feud, which, of course, is not the feud that maybe Sid thought it was going to be. What did you guys think about this? Or what did you think about the melee after the match?
They did a good job of making it look real. As far as real heat, even though Hogan's a POS, and we all know it wasn't.
Prisoner of the system?
No. I do agree with you, Drew. It totally took away from the majestic feeling of Rick Ross.
Wow.
Oh. DJ Envious now. A Ric Flair becoming a champion by way of winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, you know, confetti could have been spilled into the ring. We could have got a nice, you know, pomp of circumstance. We didn't get anything like that. You know, no championship bearing. It was nothing. It was just Rick being chased out the ring. And I'm like, you kind of shit on the biggest moment of the night by doing this. And I mean, Sid Justice at the time, I don't know if he was a major player to put him in that spot in the biggest moment of the night. But in retrospect, I think they definitely messed that up.
All this lets me know is WWE has been doing what they have been doing all their life.
Which is?
Because let's just fast forward to 2023. You guys are, well, I don't know about Drew, but Mac was definitely most recently pissed off at Mania at that ending.
Okay, you get two Cody blasts in 20 minutes.
But no, this was significant though, right? Because, like you said, he got chased out of the ring, whatever, and this is supposed to be his moment. WWE's been doing these sort of things. Let's take it to Carmella. She won her championship, and it was what's that dude's name? I can't think of his name right now, but him winning it for her. They know how to ruin moments. This isn't a new thing. This is what they do.
Ellsworth.
Yeah. This is what they do.
I think the worst part about this is though that the company quickly showed that they didn't really have the faith in Flair, and so they made Hulk Hogan the main event of that year's WrestleMania against Sid, and it was a disqualification.
You know what this also tells me? Go ahead, Drew. I'll follow up with you.
They could not allow Sid to just get a win. Hogan must pose.
Yeah. I will say this, and this is something that the WWEF has not gotten away from. And Swervy will head nod his reaction. You mentioned that Ric Flair came from WCW a few months ago, and they wanted to put him in this match, give him over an hour to show fans who were unaware of who he was that he can go. Hogan, running him out of the ring in the main event, told me that the WWE rested on their laurels in 92, they'll rest on them in 2023, and they'll rest on them in 3023, which is our guys are always going to be in the biggest picture that we can put them in. Always.
So I believe that the original idea was for Hogan and Flair at WrestleMania. That was the original idea.
Yeah, they always talk about how they passed up on that money match and they had to do it in WCW.
Well, it's because they went on house show loops having them wrestle, and the house show crowd just weren't into it. So they just went, well, fuck it, we can't put this at WrestleMania. So that's when they put Savage in there with Flair, and then they burned the whole Sid angle at Mania.
Can't blame them though, Drew. They couldn't put up a Twitter poll.
I think the biggest problem
if house show is all I got to go by, then I'm not going to do it either.
But there was no build-up. If you're on the house show and you're just watching these guys wrestle for no reason, you're not going to be as invested as if you do a whole angle. Like with Savage and Flair, their whole angle was a solid angle.
So who was number one at that time?
As far as what?
Wrestler.
I mean, they like to say Hogan, but Hogan was definitely on his.
Okay, and then who do you think was number two?
I would say Flair.
All right, now let's go back to my era, and let's just put these guys at their peak. If I just put Austin and Rock in a match, do you need build-up?
I think that's a little bit different, and I'll say why.
Go ahead.
Because at this point in time, Hogan was on his way out. He wasn't as big as he was.
Rock is often on his way out, but go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is he wasn't on his way. He was on his way out. He wasn't on TV all the time. He was doing his movies and shit, which were not good movies. While Flair was just coming in. He wasn't established. He was just coming in as, hey, here's a guy from the other company. He was big there. There you go. Austin was over. He was over like Rover in WWE. He was. You could put him in the ring with anyone. It's gonna.
Well, I asked you who your number one and number two guys were.
Because they didn't really have definitive guys. They relied on Hogan for almost 10 years, and now that Hogan's ready to leave, they have no backup plan.
Is that why you're saying that's why they brought? Is that why they brought in Flair?
Yeah, because this was around the time of the steroid trial too. So Vince was not worried about making stars. He was worried about staying out of jail.
CYA.
Savage wasn't a major player at this time.
I always look at Savage like Booker T. He's the guy who's on your upper mid card. He's reliable, and when you have nobody else, you can put the belt on him, and he's going to be able to defend it. But he's not your first choice. He's never your first choice.
So he's a girl you call at 2:00 in the morning.
It don't feel like they looked at Savage that way to me, but
I mean, they never allowed Booker T to be on a Slim Jim and take that to the moon.
True. But at the same time,
WWE didn't allow that, right? That was WCW.
Well, no, it was on WWE.
Yeah.
Savage took it with them.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think, in the Rock, Austin, Hogan, and Flair comparison, if you will, I mean, it's obvious to go there and say Rock and Austin 1-2 is, on the same level of, or if not better, than Hogan and Flair.
I'm giving you those guys that time, that era versus this guy that time, that era. That's why I did that.
This is an example of WWE not being ready for post Hogan, because they were not. Hogan was on his way out. He was not at a lot of shows. He was not a main guy. His previous 2 WrestleManias were against, Warrior was not there. Warrior was supposed to be the next guy. They fired him because he was a nutcase. But he was being groomed to be that next guy. So when he didn't pan out, they had nobody.
So was Lex Luger.
That's the thing, is again, once it doesn't pan out, they had no plan B. The booking was literally just 3 guys who said, okay, this is the guy. When that doesn't pan out, it's like, now what?
Well, hey,
baby is here.
They pinned themselves in the corner with this Hogan and Sid angle, in my opinion, because there's no reason why. Again, the post-match interview with Flair should have been in the ring with Heenan and Kurt, and then if you want to work something with Sid and Hogan, you do that on Raw, but you don't do it at the main event or after it. And the match that you should have made would have been Flair and Hogan, but because you have Flair ran out the ring and you had to stare down between Sid and Hogan, that was the setup of the main event for Mania, which was a dud.
I just want to say just one last thing about Flair is it crazy to think that the guy that we're talking about in 1992 who won the Royal Rumble had not too long ago wrestled a match.
And here's the thing about Sid. Sid had only just made his WWE debut the previous May. So he wasn't like a super commonly known guy in WWE. So what I feel like they should have done was tease this whole thing with Hogan, let Hogan fight Flair at Mania, and then save Sid for SummerSlam. Have that being your big bad at SummerSlam. That way you can build Sid up for that match. But they just thrusted him in there, and.
But I think, to your point, Drew, I think they were starved for stars.
Yeah, I agree. Because they booked themselves in a corner. They had nobody. They thought that Flair and Hogan was going to be money. House Show Loop didn't care, so they just killed it.
But don't you think, though, if, let's say, Flair wrestled on house shows or in-house shows, you think that fans would care?
He was.
Did they care?
I just said they didn't, because he wrestled Hogan on house show loops.
No, I'm saying before the Rumble.
Maybe if they built, or maybe if they interacted.
If the crowd reaction to Flair in the WWE's eyes was, hey, no one knows who this guy really is because they didn't watch Turner, but you still booked him to win the Royal Rumble, and you still went with your gut. They should have went with their gut and still put the match at Mania between him and Hogan.
So they had faith that Flair was going to be able to translate to the fans, because Flair's Flair.
And also, dude, listen, fans are fickle.
Yeah.
Fans are super fickle. You give us a match that no one cares about. Case in point, 8-man tag match at Mania. Oh man, this is the bathroom match. I go take a piss or I take a dump during this match, and then they do stuff that makes you say, "Oh crap! I'm glad I didn't get up."
But here's the problem: Flair comes from a place where it's all about the personalities. It's all about, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. So it's Flair promoting himself. Every promo was about Flair. Hey, come see Ric Flair. Doesn't matter who Ric Flair's wrestling. Come see Ric Flair. WWE, it's all about, we have to present these matchups. Hulk Hogan's wrestling Sergeant Slaughter. Why? Well, here's the story. So you had 2 clash of ideas. You had Hulk Hogan, who's all about, I got to present my story, and Ric Flair, who's all about, hey, I'm just here. It was not meshing.
Got it. Yeah, no, I hear you. And that's tough back then probably to deal with because politics are politics, but they're not like how they are today. I can bet you that. Did you guys have anything else before I have a question about this entire pay-per-view that I want to get your thoughts on?
The only thing I have is what would you rate this Royal Rumble match?
That was my question. Oh, the match.
The match itself.
Out of 5. Probably have to, because of the finish, I probably have to give it a 3.
Yeah, 3.5.
Same. It wasn't the best Royal Rumble, but it definitely wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as far as a grade or a number grade for the entire show out of 5? And do you have this? Well, I'm never going to ask that because I know the answer. But where do you grade this overall pay-per-view?
Definitely the C's.
I would give it a C+, because for the whole thing because they didn't have the individual WWE Championship match and just in the Royal Rumble, it kind of took away from the overall. Because instead of having 2 matches to look forward to, you had 1. I get that the Intercontinental title was on the line. That was a 5-minute match. That was basically a squash match. We only had 1 match to really look forward to. That's it.
Got it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was the 1992 WWF Royal Rumble. We reviewed it. What is it? 31 years later. It was nice to go back and talk about names that we haven't heard in a while, and also see names that we didn't recognize at all. So that was pretty cool. And even though we're fantasy bookers at heart, we're still talking about how they should have booked Flair, Sid, and Hogan. So that was pretty interesting and sweet to do. So thank you to the listener that suggested the 3 of us do that. If you want to be like this person and you have other suggestions for other shows, whether it's ECW, WWF, WCW, hit us up. We're not doing OVW. Sorry, we don't have access. We're not taking it back that deep, all right? But if you wanted us to review a show, hit us up in the comments of YouTube. We're also on Twitter under the No Pyro Podcast moniker as well. Don't forget the L, S, and S. That means like, subscribe, and share. We're back next week. Jam-packed show. We review Night of Champions. We talk about what's AEW's pay-per-view?
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. I forgot. I'm all over the place.
Terrible.
We maybe we'll sneak in a little video game commentary about AEW's video game that's coming out June 29th. THQ. Don't look like y'all was in y'all bag. We'll get to that next week. And then also, we got to talk about who was going to be crowned the first WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Can't wait for that to happen next week. Until then, my name is Total Mac, signing off for Swervy Lee and No Chill Drew. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend and your Memorial Day. Deuces.